Good morning, Mr. Good morning, Mr. Fuller. Happy New Year to you all. We are forced to work at these jobs, which I call war zones, isolated war zones, because it's more of a hands-on oppression, manipulation, and hatred. And there are some who who seek to dismantle the system in their own community, and there are those who seek to dismantle the system in these corporations, as far as learning their systems of medicine, law, or technology, whatever the case may be. I mean, and like Mr. Fuller, as you were stating, like how we have to make these moves efficiently, we have to dismantle the system efficiently, so we have to evolve, constantly evolve and learn as much information about this system in order to dismantle it. So my question for you, Mr. Fuller, is how can we use our time and energy constructively in these isolated war zones, although we suffer with manipulation and hatred and oppression?
Okay, if I understand the question, what do we do? Because it all comes down to what we do each and every day. Well, I'll repeat what I've been saying all along, but I have to reiterate it. Look at everything that you do and say, and then look at the result. That's how you start. Each individual, look at everything that you do and everything that you say, and look at the result of what you do and say. And start getting rid of everything that doesn't come up with a constructive result. That includes all of your associations and whatnot, the people that you interact with. Change the way that you're doing it if it's not coming up with constructive results. Everything should produce a constructive result. Young black males in the northwestern hemisphere, and I've given this illustration many times. Some of his buddies come by in a car, and 2 or 3 of them, there's 4 or 5 of them in the car, and 2 of them's got guns, and they say, "Come on and get in the car." Well, first thing should hit in your mind, wait a minute, is this going to produce a constructive result if I get in this car? If I get in this car and go wherever they are going to do whatever they are going to do, is it going to produce a constructive result for me? And just ask yourself that question. Every move that you make, every time you get ready to visit someone, including a relative, is it going to produce a constructive result? Yes or no? And there's no such thing as in between, because it's going to either be constructive or non-constructive. Now, a lot of people have told me they have tried this, and the first thing that happens is something that they don't think is very constructive, and that is they get real lonely. Well, that's a part of a war. And it's not a real terrible part of a war. If you're talking about we are in a war, and you get lonely in the war, you wish that you were someplace where you could be around people who are making you happy and making you laugh and giving you some type of thrills, because loneliness is a terrible thing. It really is. But in a war, this type of war, expect to be lonely. That goes with the territory. Yes, people, both white and non-white, don't want to be around people who are what you might call a little too serious. If you're a person of color, you're not supposed to be serious about anything. But we pay a high price for not being serious about anything, or the things we definitely should be serious about. And we got to get rid of that problem by being serious about serious things and dump everything that is silly. Now that hurts our feelings terribly because we love silliness. We've been trained that way. If it's not silly, we don't want to be a part of it. I mean, it's like we are in pain if we're not involved in something that's stupid and silly. Turn on the television and just look at us at our best on most channels. Not on all, but on most throughout the day or the night. Silliness. Always looking for something to be silly about. Now, I can understand it, and it's a wonderful thing if we had a wonderful world, like Louis Armstrong said. If this was a world where there were no problems, or if we were in paradise, which is what many people say they're looking forward to being in, where you don't have any cares and woes at all. Everybody's just skipping up and down the yellow brick road 24/7. No problems. But we're in a war. The worst of wars. That's a race war. Something that somebody invented called racism. And we are prisoners of that war. So the first thing you're going to notice when you say, I'm not participating, starting with 2020, in anything that is non-constructive, you got to show me in advance where it's going to have a constructive effect, or I'm not going to be a part of it. Now, this is what every black person on the planet, every person of color, has to cement in our minds. Each and every day, all day. And it is painful to take that kind of position. I mean, it is some kind of painful. I mean, your spirit just seems to just sap all the strength out of you. I mean, it just goes. Because we're not used to it. We're not used to it. We are festive people. We are hallelujah people. We are jubilee people. And we think that we got enough pain, which we have, but it's like getting in a dentist chair. Sometimes you got to go through a little bit of pain, an intense pain, for a short period of time in order to get the greater benefit. That's what happens when you go to the dentist. The dentist says, well, this is going to hurt. But if I leave this abscess on your tooth, it's going to hurt for a longer period of time. So in answer to your question, yes. Constructive, non-constructive. That's the focus. Don't participate in anything willfully and deliberately that doesn't produce a constructive result. And you know the difference between something constructive and something that's not. Drugs are not constructive. Just hanging out is not constructive. Making idle talk is not constructive. If somebody's not talking about something serious, which is painful to us, we don't want to talk about anything serious. That's too much work. We don't feel good when we talk about something serious, like problem solving. We want somebody else to solve the problems. We just want to be happy all the time. Well, in a war, we're not going to feel very happy many times. But that's the price we have to pay. And we should embrace it. Because that's the only way we're going to get out of this. The only way we're going to get out of this. As long as we're just looking forward to the weekend of festivity or whenever we can get off of what we call work and just go do a whole bunch of silly stuff, which we are known for traditionally. We call it our tradition, our culture, which has not paid off and shouldn't be wished on anybody that's got any sense, what we call black culture. Be constructive. That's it. That's the one word. Keep it simple. It's either constructive or it's not.